This tutorial is going to show you how to print one of your sheets and assemblages to a PDF. You must have Adobe Acrobat, not just Adobe Reader, installed on the Windows side of your computer if you have a Mac, and on your computer if you have a Windows. That is important because you print to PDF, you have to have Adobe Acrobat and its capabilities to be able to do that. Unfortunately, I do not have Adobe Acrobat on this laptop that I'm using for the tutorials, so I will walk you through the process as far as possible, but if you need help, please contact the professor. The first thing you want to do is go up to File in the upper left-hand corner, click on it and hover over Print, and you want to go to Print Setup before you go to Print itself. What this will do is it will set up how you print from now on, and you won't need to change anything unless you change your sheet size. For me, the default is Microsoft Print to PDF, and you might find different printers depending on how your computer is set up and how your Adobe Acrobat is set up. So I'm going to stick with this. Size, again, depending on how you have your printer set up, is going to vary, and you want to pick the size that relates closest to the size that you've set up for your sheet. In the previous tutorial, we set up a sheet that was 24 by 36, so we ideally want to find that within our sheet sizes. If they're not in our sheet sizes, then we need to look at that through Adobe Acrobat. And again, since I don't have that on this computer, I can't show you how to do that right now. I'm going to pick Tabloid, which is 11 by 17, and use that as the option today. Another thing that we want to do is we want to make sure that our page is centered, and instead of hitting Fit to Page, we want to click Zoom and make sure it says 100%. The reason we do that is because you're using an educational version of Revit, and if you don't do that, then Revit might add the Autodesk watermark text around all four sides at the edge of the page, which is unattractive, and one more thing you have to deal with, like going into Photoshop and cropping it out later. This typically helps get rid of that issue so that you don't have to deal with it. Our orientation is going to be landscape because that's how we set up our page, and we don't have to worry about hidden line views. Our raster quality is high, and we want to change our colors from color to grayscale because occasionally we have things that do come in Revit in color, and we always want our plots to be black and white. These are our basic settings, and we can save them, and you notice it's called default right now, or we can do a save as and save it as something specific, like if I wanted to call this assemblages for this class, or even for a particular assignment. Now I have that to work with when I actually go to print. So I hit OK. I go back up to File in the upper left hand corner, click on File, hover over the word Print, and go to Print. Now you notice it has a printer there. I can start looking at different printers, again depending on what my options are. So I have some of the printers in Giles Hall installed, and that would give me different options for sizes. So I need to play with that and the properties in order to look for the different sizes and things that I want. Remember, when you plot to the plotter lab in Giles Hall, you always have to plot to PDF and send that way. You can't send Revit files. So once I have those settings set up, I can then go and look at my settings. You notice that that's called assemblages because I saved it. I can go back and change it if I want, but I don't need to change anything, so I'm going to hit cancel. I'm going to go with my current view, or I can do a selected view or sheet if I have multiple sheets. And sometimes there's an option to select view where you can actually select the window. We can do reverse print order if we're printing multiple sheets, but you notice that they are grayed out right there, so that option is not happening. You can even print to file, but I like to do it this way because I also can preview, and I can see that that's not actually fitting properly based on the size that I selected. So I always want to preview, and I can go back to print and make adjustments as needed. So I can go back to my setup. I can look at different elements. If I hit, again, Fit to Page, I might have that problem. So you want to play with this until you get your preview to look the way you think it should. Part of the problem that I'm having is because I selected a plotter as opposed to print to PDF. my preview should get better, but unfortunately it didn't. So I have to keep going back to print and adjusting things until my preview looks appropriate. So within that, it might be easier to do selected views and sheets, and I can click the view that I want. So I want to go and look for my floor plan, and you notice it says show both sheets and views, so I could narrow it down to just sheets. I can have multiple sheets, but right now I just want that one. I don't want to change those settings, and now it's not letting me preview, so if I hit OK, I'm not sure what I'm going to get. So working with the current window gives me at least the opportunity to preview and to play with the settings to make sure that I get what I want. If you have any problems with this, since I wasn't able to show you the full range of options that you can have, please contact the professor for more help.